Ladies, I need you to hear me today. Not just with your ears, but with your spirit. Too many of us have been bending, breaking, and begging for a seat at tables where we were never meant to sit. We have poured love into people who sip it like a convenience rather than cherishing it like a necessity. We have given our best to those who see us as nothing more than an afterthought. But today we shift. Today we rise. Ladies, I need you to lean in close because this right here is a heart check. Too many of us have spent seasons waiting on people to recognize what we bring to the table. We have bent over backward, sacrificed our peace, and poured out love from an empty cup, all for the sake of being chosen. And yet, we still find ourselves sitting on the sidelines of someone else's priorities, wondering why we were never enough. But today, I need you to understand something deep in your soul. You are not an option. You're not a convenience. You're not someone's last-minute backup plan. You are worthy of being chosen, pursued, and cherished fully, consistently, and without hesitation. When you allow yourself to be treated like an option, you are silently agreeing that your presence is negotiable. You start making excuses for why someone doesn't show up for you. You justify the late responses, the inconsistent love, the one-sided effort. You shrink yourself to fit into their world, thinking that if you just hold on a little longer, if you just prove your worth, then maybe, just maybe, they'll see you the way you see them. But let me tell you something. If they wanted to, they would. If they valued you, they wouldn't keep you guessing. If they truly saw you for who you are, you wouldn't have to beg for a love that should be given freely. Being an option means you're only chosen when it is convenient. It means they pick you up when they're lonely, but disappear when they're entertained elsewhere. It means they come to you for comfort, but never stay long enough to offer security. It means they know exactly how much you love them, but they never fully commit to loving you in return. And the longer you accept this, the more you start believing that this is all you deserve. But I need you to wake up. I need you to recognize that God did not create you to be an afterthought. You are a masterpiece, handcrafted with purpose, destined for a love that does not waver. Choosing people who choose you means understanding your worth, not just in words, but in action. It means no longer begging for what should be freely given. It means no longer adjusting your standards just to keep people around. It means standing firm in the truth that love is not meant to be lopsided. Real love, honest, healthy, intentional love, does not leave you in confusion. It does not make you question where you stand. It does not ask you to compromise your dignity just to feel seen. Love should make you feel secure, not like a temporary escape from someone's boredom. I know it's hard. I know the loneliness can whisper lies that make you settle. I know the history you share with someone can make you hold on to potential rather than reality. I know your heart has convinced you that if you just try a little harder, if you just love a little more, then maybe they'll finally choose you the way you've been choosing them. But let me ask you something. How much more of yourself will you lose waiting on someone to see the value that God already placed in you? How many more sleepless nights will you endure wondering if you'll ever be enough for someone who has already shown you that you are not their priority? How much longer will you allow yourself to be an afterthought when you were created to be a blessing? You have to choose yourself first. You have to decide that being alone is better than being half-loved. You have to believe that there is something greater ahead, even if it means letting go of what is comfortable. Because the truth is, the right people, the ones who truly see you, honor you, and cherish you, will never make you feel like an option. They will be consistent, they will be intentional, they will choose you in the way you deserve to be chosen. Not just when it's easy, but even when it requires effort. The moment you stop prioritizing people who treat you like a convenience, You make space for the love that was meant for you. The moment you walk away from inconsistency, you open the door for stability. The moment you choose yourself, you show the world and yourself that you are worthy of more. And that is the kind of love you should wait for. That is the kind of love you should never settle for anything less than love is meant to flow both ways, not just in one direction. It is not meant to be something you give endlessly while receiving only crumbs in return. Too many women have been conditioned to believe that love requires endurance, that if you are patient enough, if you prove yourself enough, if you sacrifice enough, one day they will love you the way you love them. But love was never designed to be a test of suffering. Love in its purest form is meant to be reciprocated. It is meant to be mutual, intentional, and unwavering. The right people will choose you, cherish you, and value you, not just tolerate your presence out of convenience. When you are in a space where love is not reciprocated, you begin to feel the weight of carrying something alone that was always meant to be shared. You start over-explaining yourself, hoping they will understand your heart. You excuse their neglect, thinking they just need more time. You shrink your needs because asking for too much feels like a burden. And before you know it, you have settled into a pattern of accepting the bare minimum, calling it love when it is really survival. Being tolerated means someone acknowledges you, but they do not value you. They let you stay, but they do not fight for you. They allow you to be present, but they do not invest in making sure you feel wanted. And when you tolerate being tolerated, you are teaching them that it is okay to give you less than what you deserve. You are teaching them that you will remain, even when their effort is inconsistent. You are teaching them that your heart is an option rather than a priority. But love is not meant to leave you questioning where you stand. The right love does not have you wondering whether you are wanted. The love that is meant for you will not make you beg. It will not put you in a position where you have to convince someone to choose you. It will not leave you in a cycle of waiting for them to be ready while you pour yourself out to prove your worth. The love that is meant for you will recognize you the first time. It will not hesitate. It will not be filled with excuses. It will not come with conditions that require you to constantly prove why you are deserving of the love they should freely give. There is a difference between love that is present and love that is active. Someone can enjoy having you around without ever truly choosing you. They can accept your love without ever fully returning it. They can give you just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to make you feel secure. And that is not love, that is attachment. That is convenience. That is someone keeping you close enough to benefit from you, but never committing to truly love you in return. Choosing someone who chooses you means releasing the weight of one-sided love. It means no longer carrying the responsibility of keeping a relationship alive by yourself. It means no longer making excuses for why they cannot show up for you in the way you deserve. It means understanding that love is not proven by how much you can endure, but by how freely it is given and received. Real love does not require you to become less just to be tolerated. Real love calls you to be more because you are cherished. The right people will love you in a way that does not leave you exhausted. They will see you not just when they need you, but even when you have nothing to give. They will choose you not just when it is easy, but even when it requires effort. They will cherish you not just when you are at your best, but even when you are at your most vulnerable. And that kind of love will not ask you to suffer for it. That kind of love will not make you beg. That kind of love will not leave you questioning whether you are enough. It is time to stop fighting for people who do not fight for you. It is time to stop trying to convince someone to love you when love is something that should be freely given. It is time to stop prioritizing people who only tolerate you when you were meant to be cherished. Because the love that was designed for you is not hesitant. The love that was meant for you does not make you chase it. The love that is aligned with you will never make you feel like you have to earn it. The right love, the real love, will choose you just as deeply as you choose it. You were never created to beg for love, attention, or validation. You were never meant to exhaust yourself proving your worth to people who should have recognized it from the very beginning. But somewhere along the way, life taught you that love must be earned, that your value must be demonstrated, that if you could just be a little more, give a little more, do a little more, then maybe, just maybe, you'd finally be enough for them. But let me tell you something, the right people will not need a presentation to see your value. The right people will not need convincing to love you. You are already enough, just as you are. When you constantly feel the need to prove your worth, you place yourself in a cycle of seeking validation from those who will never truly see you. You overextend yourself, bending in ways that were never meant for you. You adjust your boundaries to accommodate people who were never willing to meet you halfway. You accept less than what you deserve because you believe that if you are just patient enough, if you just hold on a little longer, then maybe they will finally realize what they have in you. But what happens when they never do? What happens when the love you have poured out so freely is never returned in the way you need it? What happens when proving yourself only leaves you exhausted and empty? The truth is, love does not require you to perform. It does not require you to convince someone of your worth. The moment you feel the need to prove that you are deserving of love, you have already placed yourself in a losing battle. Love should be mutual. It should be recognized, honored, and cherished without manipulation, without conditions, and without hesitation. If someone needs to be convinced to love you, they are not for you. If someone can only appreciate you when you overextend yourself, then their love is dependent on what you do rather than who you are, and that is not love. That is transaction. Your worth does not increase or decrease based on who chooses you. It is not dependent on someone else's ability to recognize it. Your worth is already established, already set in stone. No amount of proving, no amount of effort, no amount of waiting will ever change the fact that the right people will see you for who you are, without needing to be persuaded. And yet, so many women stay in spaces where they are tolerated rather than chosen, hoping that one day they will finally be enough to be fully loved. But you cannot force someone to see what they refuse to acknowledge. You cannot convince someone to love you the way you deserve to be loved. It is time to stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to listen. It is time to stop exhausting yourself trying to be seen by those who only look your way when it benefits them. It is time to stop handing over your heart to people who were never meant to hold it in the first place. You were not created to chase love. Love was created to find you. And the love that is meant for you will not require you to shrink, to bend, or to prove that you are worthy of receiving it. The people who are meant for you will recognize your value without a performance. They will see you, not just in moments of convenience, but in moments of stillness. They will cherish you, not just when you are giving, but when you have nothing left to give. They will choose you, not just when it is easy, but even when it requires effort. And those are the people who deserve your energy. Those are the people who deserve your love. Let go of the need to be validated by those who were never meant to carry your heart. Walk away from anything that requires you to prove what should have been evident from the start. Release the weight of trying to earn something that should be freely given, because the moment you stop proving your worth is the moment you make room for the love that was always meant to choose you. There comes a time when you have to take inventory of what is draining you and what is feeding you. Too many women are holding on to people, relationships, and situations that do nothing but take from them, leaving them empty, exhausted, and questioning their worth. But the truth is, you cannot receive what is meant for you while you are still holding on to what is breaking you. You cannot make room for what aligns with you when you are still entertaining what depletes you. It is a weight that comes with forcing yourself to fit in spaces that no longer serve you. And at some point you must decide that your peace, your joy, and your heart are too valuable to waste on what does not choose you fully. You know what it feels like to pour yourself out for people who only take. You have felt the exhaustion of giving chances to those who do not deserve another opportunity to hurt you. You have felt the disappointment of expecting love from someone who only gives you inconsistency. You have felt the frustration of waiting on someone to finally appreciate you the way you deserve. But how long will you continue caring what is draining you? How long will you keep investing in what has already shown you it cannot pour back into you? How long will you hold on to a love that only leaves you feeling empty? Releasing what drains you is not easy because sometimes what drains you is familiar. It is hard to let go of people you have built history with. It is difficult to walk away from what you once prayed for. It is painful to accept that love alone is not enough to keep something alive when respect, consistency, and effort are missing. But staying connected to what weakens you will only delay what is meant to strengthen you. The longer you hold on to what does not feel you, the longer you delay the love, peace, and wholeness that are waiting on the other side of your release. Making space for what fills you requires discipline. It requires an unwavering commitment to yourself. It requires you to say, I will not settle for what makes me question my worth. I will not keep choosing people who do not choose me. I will not allow myself to remain in places where I have to fight just to be seen. It means refusing to be a second choice when you were created to be a priority. It means knowing that love should not feel like a constant battle for attention. It means trusting that letting go of what drains you does not mean you will be left empty, but that you are making room for something greater to take its place. You cannot keep making excuses for why you allow certain people to stay in your life when all they do is take. You cannot keep convincing yourself that things will change when their actions have already spoken loud and clear. You cannot keep holding on to potential when reality has already shown you the truth. You have to release. You have to free yourself from the weight of carrying what is not meant for you. You have to create space for love that is intentional, for connections that uplift you, for relationships that pour into you just as much as you pour into them. The right love, the right people, the right energy will never leave you feeling drained. The love that is aligned with you will not require you to beg for effort. The relationships that are meant for you will not leave you questioning where you stand. But as long as you keep holding on to what depletes you, you will never fully experience what is meant to fill you. You have to trust that releasing what no longer serves you is not a loss. It is a necessary step toward everything that is waiting for you. When you stop settling for what drains you, you step into the fullness of what was always meant to pour into you. When you stop accepting half-hearted love, you make room for a love that will choose you completely. When you stop prioritizing people who treat you like an option, you open the door for the relationships that will cherish you like the gift that you are. You owe it to yourself to make space for what fills you. And what making space for what fills you, you owe it to yourself to walk away from anything that does not. There comes a moment when you have to decide that you are enough for yourself, whether or not someone else sees it. There comes a time when you have to stop waiting for people to validate your word and start choosing yourself the way you have always chosen others. You have spent too much time trying to prove you are worthy of love, too much time prioritizing people who only see you as an afterthought, too much time giving grace to those who do not appreciate the value of your presence. But the moment you realize that you do not have to beg to be chosen, that you do not have to settle for being tolerated, that you do not have to prove your worth to anyone, everything changes. Because choosing yourself first is not selfish, it is necessary. Walking away from anything that does not honor your presence is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that you will no longer settle for relationships that drain you, spaces that diminish you, or love that comes with conditions. It is standing firm in the belief that your heart is too valuable to be mishandled, that your energy is too precious to be wasted, that your presence is too meaningful to be taken for granted. You cannot keep giving your best to people who only offer you the bare minimum. You cannot keep waiting for someone to see you when they have already shown you that they never will. You cannot keep choosing people who refuse to choose you in return. The problem is, too many women have been conditioned to believe that love requires endurance. That if you just hold on long enough, if you just prove yourself enough, then maybe you will finally be enough. But love should not make you feel like you have to earn it. Love should not make you question your place in someone's life. Love should not make you feel invisible, unappreciated, or easily replaceable. The right love will recognize you. The right love will honor you. The right love will not ask you to sacrifice your self-worth just to feel wanted. It is hard to walk away from what you once prayed for. It is painful to release someone you love, even when you know they do not value you. It is heartbreaking to accept that some people only love you when it is convenient for them. But choosing yourself means refusing to settle for inconsistent love. Choosing yourself means deciding that you would rather be alone than be half-loved. Choosing yourself means understanding that you deserve the same energy, effort, and commitment that you so freely give to others. You do not have to stay where you are not valued. You do not have to keep proving why you are worthy of respect. You do not have to fight for a seat at a table where no one is making room for you. The moment you choose yourself is the moment you stop entertaining anything that diminishes your light. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing people who have no intention of keeping you. You stop prioritizing people who only see you as an option when you were never meant to be one. When you walk away from what does not honor you, you make space for what truly aligns with you. When you release relationships that drain you, you open the door for connections that pour into you. When you stop chasing after those who do not see your value, you give yourself permission to be chosen by those who do. It is not about being bitter, it is about being better. It is about knowing that you are worthy of more. It is about standing in the fullness of who you are and knowing that the right people will never ask you to diminish that. Choosing yourself first does not mean you do not love others. It means you refuse to love them at the expense of yourself. It means you refuse to stay in spaces where your voice is silenced, where your presence is ignored, where your love is taken for granted. It means you understand that true love does not require you to abandon yourself. It means walking away from anything and anyone that does not honor you, not because you do not care, but because you finally care about yourself enough to stop settling. So today I need you to make a decision. A decision to no longer chase people who don't pursue you. A decision to stop proving your worth to people who should have recognized it the first time. A decision to only give your energy, your time, and your love to those who reciprocate it fully, without hesitation. Because when you stop making room for what drains you, you create space for what will fill you. When you release what was never meant for you, you make room for what is divinely aligned with you. So my sister, stand tall. Walk away from what depletes you and choose unapologetically to only hold space for those who truly choose you